What's up, YouTube? This is Russell from Russell's Reef coming to you with episode 20 of the Waterbox 70.3 build. If you guys checked out last episode, you know I've been dealing with some issues with some bleached out corals. Just trying to figure out what's going on with my Montiporas and digitatas. With the help of you guys, I was able to figure out what my problem was. It turned out to be a very small Acropora eating black bug. In this episode, we're going to take a look at what I'm doing to try to get rid of it. Alright, let's take a look. So I want to start out this episode by sending a huge shout out to everyone who commented on the last video, especially Tyler Jacks. He's the one that helped me ultimately make the discovery and figure out what was going on. He shared some of his experience with an extra small bug, and I took a frag out, examined it under a microscope, and this is what I found. A bunch of little black bugs running around, just irritating the coral. So, huge shout out to Tyler. Thanks for helping me find out what was going on. So, these guys basically behave a lot like red bugs. They kind of just irritate your corals. They started off in my tank with the Montiporas, kind of just eating them away real slowly. If you look on the forums, there's a lot of posts about Acropora eating black bugs, and these bugs are a little different than the ones I've seen online. The ones online seem to decimate whole colonies like basically overnight. These are more like red bugs, where they'll just irritate everything, and eventually they will kill colonies, but they're not going to kill anything overnight. I also found that these guys are super resistant to dips. So basically I tested Bayer on them, just kept them in Bayer for what seemed like, I don't know, probably like 20-30 minutes. Didn't kill them, didn't do anything. So I knew dipping wasn't really going to do anything. It also made me realize that using Bayer is good, but, you know, eventually things will find their way into the system. There's no telling how long I've had these in my system. I've noticed issues with my Monties and Digis pretty much since day one, so they could have just been there all along and just kind of got a little more food and a little more comfortable and kind of exploded over the last month or so. So after doing a lot of research, I kind of found that you can treat these guys just like red bugs. So this is what I used. I decided to use Dr. G's dip after lots of research. I wanted to use Interceptor for heartworms, but I couldn't get a hold of any. So I looked on the forum, and people said that Dr. G's SPS dip has milbemycin in it, which is the same active ingredient as Interceptor. I didn't really believe it, but that's what I tried using, and so far, so good. So here's what I did as far as dosing the tank. On the bottle, it specifically says not to dose your display, but I trusted what I read on the forums and decided to dose my display. What I did was I used 1 capful of Dr. G's per 20 gallons of water, and then I just dropped it straight into the system. I took my skimmer offline and took my carbon and GFO offline as well. I just let the skimmer run without the top on it, and everything went pretty well. This is just like dosing Interceptor, so if you are dosing your tank, you should expect to lose some snails and some other inverts. Crabs and shrimp will react to it, but for the most part I didn't really lose much. So yeah, so far so good. As far as the treatment working, this is just like people describe it, man. People describe red bugs, and when you dose Interceptor, you see immediate results, like instant gratification, and that's pretty much what happened. When I dosed, probably within 1 or 2 hours, I immediately noticed like polyp extension for corals that I hadn't seen polyp extension on in a very long time, and I could tell it was working. So far it's been very effective. We'll go around and look at all the corals now. So the digitata and the Montipora. The Montipora is one where you can definitely see exactly like a telltale sign that you have this pest. See how it's dead on the end there, and then it's subtly white and just branching out into the red. So that's where the bugs live, and then they just kind of eat away at it. So if you have any Monties that kind of look like that, or they're just really poor color, I would definitely take them out and inspect them. I was also super surprised to see how much these bugs had pretty much affected every single coral in the tank, even the LPS. So at first I thought it was just like on the Monties and the Digis, but a lot of the corals were definitely affected. A couple that I wasn't expecting to have any reaction to the treatment were my Cyphastrias. I had one Cyphastria that was never really thriving, didn't have any polyp extension, and about 1 or 2 hours after dosing, you could already notice the polyps coming out. As you can see, a couple of those Montiporas are pretty much toast. They still have polyps, but they're growing algae on them, so I'm not sure what I'll do with those. I kind of want to keep them in there, but they're pretty big eyesore, so I might take them out. They also might be harboring extra bugs in them, so it might be better to just let them go. Another coral that I definitely noticed was my torch coral. Over the last month or so, the polyps have gotten, or the tentacles have gotten super short, and they're almost always deflated. Even how it looks now, it looks short, doesn't look great compared to how it used to, but this is like 10 times better than it looked 2 or 3 weeks ago. 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was just completely retracted all the time. So these bugs are definitely affecting everything. So it's a good catch. Super thankful that I finally figured it out, and I'm really hoping that this treatment will work. So far, the results have been super positive. What I'm going to do is, I've treated it twice now. So I treated it once with the 4 capfuls, and then I treat it 7 days later, again with 4 capfuls, and then I'm going to treat it 7 days from now with 4 more capfuls, and hopefully this will kill all the eggs and just get everything out. As far as water changes and running carbon and all that, I did do a small water change after the first treatment, and I did resume the carbon and skimmer after 24 hours of being offline. So basically it's going to be a 3-week treatment, and I'm hoping it'll knock everything out. So fingers crossed, we're definitely on the right track. And when it's all said and done, I'm expecting the system to kind of go through another mini cycle startup. I expect to see some algae outbreaks and everything, just because we are killing off a lot of the microfauna in the system. But overall, I'm expecting the SPS growth to really take off. I think this has really been holding everything back. I know in my older system that I had set up for 2 or 3 years. My first year was kind of like this, and then I discovered I had red bugs, and then after I treated for red bugs, I was able to see like same thing, instant gratification. The corals just took off. So I'm really hoping that after these 3 treatments, I'm sure we'll deal with some growing pains in the tank as far as algae outbreaks and all that, but hopefully the Acroporas will really take off, and something to be really excited about. And that's all I got for today. Thank you for tuning in. If you guys have any questions about the little black bugs, or you think you might be having some issues, go ahead and reach out. I'm sure I can help out. Yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.